Fortunately, I did my class 8 exams when I did them and got a chance to go to high school. I was admitted to Nyang'ore High School in Vihiga County, but I never set foot in Nyang'ore High School because remember, my father didn't have means. So chance of going to school itself was limited. But there was my primary school head teacher, Mr. Jeremiah Abuada, a very good man who took me to a donor who was going to take care of my school fees, a Canadian lady called Nora Harrison. She died a few years ago. And Nora Harrison put one condition. She was going to pay my fees so long as I don't go to Nyang'ore High School. We struggled, and an old friend of my father helped me get an admission letter to Musingo High School. The reason why Nora Harrison said she was not going to pay my fees at Nyang'ore High School was she had assisted some learner at Nyang'ore High School, and that learner had dropped out of school. She wrote a letter to the principal of that school to find out what happened to this learner, and the principal didn't respond. So she developed a lasting hatred for that school. I was a victim of people whose conduct I have no relationship with and people that I don't even know. I was a victim of that. But to date, because I'm a teacher, I encourage all my students to remember that their conduct affects other people who do not know them. And therefore, as a matter of public trust, they must ensure that they are good trustees of the fate of others through their own conduct. Coincidentally, Nora was very happy to pay my fees at Musingo High School, where when I joined, I discovered that the principal who didn't answer Nora's letter at Nyang'ore High School was my principal at Musingo High School. A very good man, the man who shaped many of us into the persons that we are today. He was a firm believer in discipline. He was a firm believer in hard work. And therefore, I don't know what may have happened at Nyang'ore High School. Let's just assume it was a pure accident of history that happened, and we should not blame him much. Musingo High School was very good for me. Actually, I suspect that the failure of Nora to pay my fees at Nyang'ore High School and the consequential result of my joining Musingo High School was God's doing, because I got the best environment to study in, with the net effect being that since Musingo High School was established, I don't like putting it that way. I prefer putting it that since God created earth, I then became the first learner at Musingo High School to get an A grade, an airplane grade in my national examinations. Having passed my KCSE exams, I was admitted to study law at the University of Nairobi. Now, my study of law at the University of Nairobi was not without incident. My father wanted me a medical doctor, like many of my generation's parents. I have struggled with what exactly my father wanted me to do with that degree, because you may think I'm bold and courageous. I have never even slaughtered a chicken in my lifetime. I can't even stand blood. Throughout this experience, my father's philosophy remained one, that I was going to change my fate in life through hard work. Let me just take you back a little. Nora has just taken me to Musingo High School, and her condition at Musingo High School is I must be among the top 1/3 of the class in at least 2 semesters, 2 terms, for her to continue the scholarship. Now, for the first time, my fate lay in my hands. You see, for the longest time, my fate lay in other people's hands, including my mother's hands, and I've told you the story about my mother. Now, Nora has told me that it lies on me, that if I succeed to be among the top 1/3, she allowed me 1 term I can slide, but at least 2 out of 3 terms in an academic year, she will continue financing my schooling. I suspect that was not a very difficult condition. The life I had lived in the village like a wild child, this kind of condition would pale in comparison. So fast forward, I'm at the University of Nairobi. I am at the Chamber of Horrors. We are trying to do our exploits. I'm representing the university in moot court activities all over, globetrotting, using the university's budget. I'm actually the only person who, I think, having paid fees to the university, directly withdrew more money than that fees for my own benefit. Then came post-university experience, and that is where now the real life, the rubber meets the road, where you must go out there and look for a job. And remember, I had arrived in Nairobi for the first time to join university. I had come to Nairobi by invitation. Invitation letter signed by Mungai M. Gashuhi, academic registrar. I remember I had taken a bus at a place called Majengo. And those days, we were allowed to stand in buses. You know how you stand and hold the middle road? Yes. So I had come all the way from Nairobi to Western standing in a bus. A tiring experience, but in pursuit of this thing, my father had told me that if I take it seriously, my fate in life may improve for better. So I arrived in Nairobi now. My time in campus has come to an end. I have to go back to the village. So let's face it. Who wants services of lawyers in Esrabe village? Who? If I arrive in Esrabe village called Ongoya Z. Elisha, LLB, what does that mean to my grandmother? Fortunately for me, life has always given me a chance. There used to be a place at Parkland's campus, we used to call it Frustration Square. When you enter Parkland's campus, the topography is such that you go downstairs to begin getting into the administration offices and the classrooms. Well, that place we used to sit there when we had nothing meaningful to do, and we called it the Frustration Square. So I was sitting at the Frustration Square when the current women rep for Uasin County, Gladys Boss-Cholei, who was my university lecturer, came to me and told me, what do you want to do? I said, well, I have nothing to do. She said, come and see me on Monday. And she gave me some casual labor at the National Council for Law Reporting, where I began my career earning whooping 9,000 Kenya shillings per month. And therefore, that was a chance that life gave me, and I will never take that chance for granted. I took some 3 months there before, after other pursuits, Professor Gedu Muigai, who was here at this stage with me, admitted me in his firm as a pupil, which is a mandatory program that lawyers must go through before they get their admission to the bar to become advocates. Professor Gedu Muigai's training model was the one where you are thrown at the deep end of the sea from the time you join the firm. But Professor Gedu Muigai, for those of you who have not interacted with him, is a mentor par excellence. Once you can stand being thrown at the deep end and you work with him, you can be guaranteed that, at the end of it all, you may not end up that badly. And I thank God that one of the other chances I got in life was that a chance to be trained by Professor Gedu Muigai. So that is what happened at that point in time until I got admitted to the bar. I had come into legal practice with one mission: to practice criminal law, to represent people accused of committing crimes. And I don't know where I picked this passion from. I suspect it's because of the flair I saw among criminal law practitioners, particularly putting to task victims of crime and making them look like the perpetrators of the crime, that I began developing my first passion for courtroom litigation, courtroom skills. I also suspect that in my very early years of internship, Professor Gedu Muigai, you remember that's the time when the Kibaki administration set up a commission of inquiry into the Goldenberg affair, and Professor Gedu Muigai was privileged to be retained by one of the persons who were adversely mentioned in that scandal, and I accompanied him to that commission's business every day, and that commission took years. And in the course of that interaction, I loved the flair of the advocates that were there and made up my mind that, God willing, if I got a chance to be admitted as an advocate, I must demonstrate this flair, because I thought it was a good thing. I thought it was the right thing to do. So eventually I get admitted as an advocate. I practiced under Professor Gedu Muigai for a while. Then I leave Professor Gedu Muigai's employment. I work with my very good mentor, Mrs. Joya Siema, for a while. Then after 6 years, I decided to open my legal practice, that is Ongoya and Wambola Advocates, where I meet another wonderful man called Dismas Wambola.